Hi, you guys. How are you? Sun's kind of in your face, feeling warm, feeling good, feeling Eastery. All right, well, I'm going to read you guys a story. Can you guess what it is? How did you know? You guys are pretty curious too, huh? All right, well, if you haven't heard this one before, I'm going to tell it to you. And if you have heard it, you guys have to like participate, all right? We're going to be doing some fun stuff while I'm telling it. Deal? Pinky promise? Shake. Sick. All right. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh. I think I did a thing with the mic stand. Yay. All right. First of all, I think George is the cutest little monkey in the world. Look at him. Cutest. What's you guys' favorite animal? Monkey? You like monkeys too? I like cats a lot. Anyone here like cats? Can anyone here tell me what sound a cat says? All right. Well, what sound does a monkey say? What sound? Yep. I see you guys doing this thing too. That's totally what they do. All right. So let's talk about George. Ready? This is George. He lived in Africa. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. One day, George saw a man. He had on a large straw hat. What color is his hat? Yep. What a nice little monkey, he thought. I would like to take him home with me. He put his hat on the ground, and of course, George was curious. He came down from the tree and took a look at the large yellow hat. The hat had been on the man's head. George thought it would be nice to have it on his own head. He picked it up. So, guys, pretend you have a hat in front of you. Pick it up. And where are you going to put it? There it is. He picked it up and put it on. And this is Monkey George running around in that hat. The hat covered George's head. He couldn't see. Close your eyes like you can't see. Oh, no. The man picked him up quickly and popped him into a bag. George was caught. The man with the big yellow hat put George into a little boat, and the sailor rowed them back across the water to the big ship. Show me like you guys are rowing. Rowing him all the way back. Switch sides. Other side. Monkey sounds. Oh, So George was sad, but he was still a little curious. On the big ship, things began to happen. The man took off the bag. George sat on a little stool, just like you guys are sitting right now. And the man said, George, I'm going to take you to a big zoo in a big city. You'll like it there. Now, run along and play, but don't get into trouble. George promised to be good, but it is easy for little monkeys to forget. On the deck, he found some seagulls. He wondered how they could fly. He was very curious. Finally, he had to try. That's him seeing the seagulls, and there's George wanting to fly. It looked easy, but do you guys know what happens next? Oh, what happened? First, this, and then this. He's in the water and he's splashing around. Have you guys ever swam before? You know how when you move your arms really fast, it starts to splash around? Exactly. Where is George? The sailors looked and looked. You're welcome. Don't forget that, all right? So at last, the sailors saw him struggling in the water, almost all tired out. Man overboard, the sailors cried as they threw him a lifebelt. George caught it and held on. At least he was safe on board. After that, George was more careful to be a good little monkey, at least until the long trip was over. George said goodbye to the kind sailors, and he and the man with the yellow hat walked off the ship to the shore and in the city to the man's house. After a good meal and a good pipe, George felt very tired. He crawled into bed and fell asleep at once. So you guys show me what it looks like when you're sleeping? I hear some snoring noises too. Do you snore? I don't know if I snore, but I definitely make snoring noises when I pretend to be asleep. The next morning, the man telephoned the zoo. George watched him. He was fascinated. And then the man went away. George was curious. He wanted to telephone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What fun! Ding-a-ling-a-ling! George had telephoned the fire station. The firemen rushed to the telephone. Hello, hello, they said, but there was no answer. Then they looked for the signal on the big map that showed where the telephone call had come from. They didn't know it was George. They thought it was a real fire. So what do you guys think happened after that? They went, but there was no fire, right? So hurry, hurry, hurry. The firemen jumped on the fire engines and onto the hook and ladders. Ding dong, everyone out of the way. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The firemen rushed into the house. They opened the door. No fire. Only a naughty little monkey. Oh, catch him, they cried. George tried to run away. He almost did, but he got caught in the telephone wire. And a thin fireman caught one arm, and a fat fireman caught the other. You fooled the fire department, they said. We will have to shut you up where you can't do any more harm. They took him away and shut him in a prison. George wanted to get out. He climbed up to the window to try the bars. Just then, the watchman came in. He got on the wooden bed to catch George, but he was too big and heavy. The bed tipped over, the watchman fell over, and quick as lightning, George ran out through the open door. So he's not only a curious little monkey, he's a fast little monkey, huh? Yeah, he totally escaped. Well, after that, he hurried through the building and out onto the roof. And then he was lucky to be a monkey because out he walked onto the telephone wires, quickly and quietly over the guard's head. George walked away. He was free. This is him on the telephone wires. Just tiptoeing away. Nobody even sees him because they don't even think to look above them. Down in the street, outside the prison wall, stood a balloon man. A little girl bought a balloon for her brother. George watched. He was curious again. He felt he must have a bright red balloon. He reached over and tried to help himself, but instead of one balloon, the whole bunch broke loose. And in an instant, the wind whisked them all away, and with them went George, holding tight with both hands. He's floating away like a balloon, you guys. Up he sailed, up, higher and higher. The houses looked like toy houses, and the people like dolls. George was frightened. He held on very tight. That's him, and that's the city really, really far below him. At first, the wind blew in great gusts. Then it quieted. Finally, it stopped blowing altogether. George was very tired. Down, down he went, up on top of a traffic light. Everyone was surprised. The traffic got all mixed up. George didn't know what to do. And then he heard someone call, George! He looked down and he saw his friend, the man with the big... There it is, the man with the big yellow hat. George was very happy, and the man was happy too. George slid down the post, and the man with the big yellow hat put him under his arm. Then he paid the balloon man for all the balloons, and then George and the man climbed into the car. At last, away they went, to the zoo. What a nice place for George to live. And there he is at the zoo, with all of his balloons and all of his friends. That is the story of Curious George. Yay! I like adventures. Something that George and I have in common is that we like wandering and seeing things and trying new things. And if there's balloons and places to go and things to try, we like that. Do you guys like adventures? Yeah? Do you guys like trying new sports or building forts or pretending you're cops and robbers and pirates and things like that? I loved adventures, and I loved telling stories and making up stories. And I told myself when I grew up, I was going to tell stories for a living. So not only am I sitting here reading to you guys right now, but I also get to do a TV show called Jessie, and I tell stories on Jessie every day. So you could say that I'm a professional storyteller. Do you watch that show? Thank you guys. See, because you guys watch the show, that means I get to tell stories for a living. Isn't that cool? You watched it before you came here? Sick. High five. I was filming it before I came here last week or the week before it. So I'm always making them. You guys are always watching them. That's our deal. If you keep watching them, I'll keep making them. Deal? All right, pinky promise? Perfect. Thank you guys so much for letting me read to you today. Did you have a question? What's your question? Yeah, Bertram the butler. Do you guys know Bertram the butler? He is lazy. Oh my gosh, you know his catchphrase. What is it? It's so far. See, you guys are like hardcore fans if you know then. All right, who here is a fan of Mrs. Kipling? Who here is kind of scared of Mrs. Kipling? Can I tell you the truth? She's so nice. She's nicer than some of the other people sometimes. She's lovely. She goes and does birthday parties, and she just sits there. She'll just sit in the kitchen or in the Ross's living room in the penthouse and just wait for us to be ready to shoot our scenes. She's a very nice lizard. What's your question? Luke does love me. I love Luke too. I know. I don't have a crush on him. I'm not in love with him. Jessie's in love with someone else, but Jessie loves Luke and Ravi and Zuri and Emma and all of her kids. She loves them very much. And I love them too. Yes. A little boy just told me I'm beautiful and I'm blushing. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's nice of you. I think you're handsome. And if you were just a little bit older, I'd let you take me on a date. Yeah, you in the bow tie. You like Mrs. Kipling the most? All right, who's your favorite character? Does everyone have one? All right, everyone yell it out at the same time. 1, 2, 3. I was not asking for you to scream, Jessie, but you did, and thank you. I heard some Lukes in there, too. I heard some Zuris. Who likes Zuri? Yep. She's sassy. Yep. Some of the moms are like, that's me. That's my kid. Yes, even the blue. How old is Zuri? In real life, she's 12. Oh, 11, maybe? And don't forget your souvenir eggs, guys. I'm just telling you. Telling you. All right, I gotta head out, but it was so good to chat with you guys. Thank you so much for loving my show almost as much as I do. And I love you guys. Happy Easter, okay? Keep reading.